I do know that people have done this at home if you're going to be absent, but you aren't busy, you could actually watch it. Say you're sick or something, you should be able to log into these too. Okay, so that's running. I made in Visio, and let's zoom this a bit. It should be under announcements, yes.
Is it the link you put up yesterday?
I deleted the one I did yesterday.
Okay.
Now you might have to refresh. Is that big enough for the back? I'm in Visio and I made an entity. If you want to make this entity, I guess I could give you a minute. It's got a lot of stuff in it. We're going to basically break it up apart. The entity is called student, and it's got all these fields in there. It's got student name, student birthday, student email, student majors, years enrolled, department, advisor name, advisor room, advisor phone, advisor email, courses and grades. Yeah, probably should have done it in class so it could just, I suppose I could delete it and we could rebuild it.
What flows are?
This is what? This is in Visio.
With a diagram?
It's always going to be an entity relation diagram, crow's foot diagram. If it's not in the big list, if you click at database and the types, it'll come up a little bit closer. I'll give you a minute to type this in if you want. I was thinking to save you time, but then I realized you probably want it. Or I could upload this diagram for Canvas and you could download it. Yeah. So you just drag over that. Yeah, so when you just, yeah.
Is it possible to like skew the image?
Come in a little bit smaller.
Online, I mean, not necessarily as big. I mean, is it possible? Because I was thinking of another one. Is it possible to skin?
Yeah, you can make them skinnier.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So if you did want it skinnier, we are actually, as I said, we're going to kind of decompose this. You can drag the sides and things. One of the things that I don't, it's a little bit hard on these is these are really wasteful of space.
No.
There's so much room and I love the way to fix that, although probably.
There's like an attribute thing. Right, but like, is there a way you can just like hit shift enter and it goes down to the next one?
Oh,
Because you have to drag and drop. Or do you just have to go every time? You know what I'm saying?
Click on it and then start typing.
Yeah. Are you guys, so I'll scroll back up and down a little bit and give you some.
I'm not sure.
This is obnoxious how it keeps switching to like, well, why just do
I'm
that?
trying to leave it real big so you can do this.
Like, why just keep switching to other people's like cameras?
This isn't an assignment, by the way. This is just going to be to use to illustrate.
I'm gonna stay on there. Okay.
It's not.
Sure.
Because I've never used it before. Because I don't have friends. I don't.
Do it at the Microsoft stuff. You might be able to get it for like 20 or 30 days. Yeah, well, so you might, if you 30 days, that would be some fun, but yeah, actually, why is not letting you log in? You logged into it, you downloaded the software, you went to where?
Yes, I believe it's right.
Right. Right, which I think is what.
Just keep doing it. I know what you mean, right? Just push up a tab over.
So I've got so many things. So maybe try that. That might be a change that they made. It used to be your immunization, now it's your password. I think that's so they send it to you.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, is there a free download? I still didn't hear.
Is there a free download?
There is, but not from Microsoft. There would have to be from the on the hub,
Oh wait, no, yeah.
but not just
I mean, you
the Microsoft portal for students and educators.
it's not just like.
And we were just debating that over there, how you log into it, whether they changed that. But yes, everything that Microsoft owns, we can have. Having said that, and we're using this because it's in the room and everything, but sometimes it's easier to use the Lucid charts.
you click on that, I'll stay on that one, not jump around. Yeah.
So I will, maybe a little bit later, I will talk to you about how you can get all of these. If you're on your own machine, you could do this in Lucid Charts. There's also other programs that you can find. This, for what we're doing right now, as I said, it's not an assignment. I will post it.
On the hub.
How many, do you guys all have it? So what I wanted to do is to create a really non-normalized entity.
Okay.
Right, so this is an entity that we're gonna have to fix because it doesn't fit the basic patterns of it. I'm going to bring up also, I guess I'll just bring up Notepad. And I'll make the font real big. It may already be big.
Last thing on the hub.
Yeah, it's already pretty big.
He said that they were, yeah, they may.
And his word wrap.
They should be doing it soon, yeah.
All right. So, normal forms. Did I show you the webpage for those? All right, let's do it real quick. We'll get the webpage and then we'll go. So I'm just going to make a new tab. And I'm just going to say database, select data normalization. And there are lots of places, but I'm going to just go to Wikipedia. So they talk about the basic objectives of normal forms. They're basically there to get rid of what they call anomalies. So one of the things is when you're designing databases, if there are little things that can get you later, there are little problems that will arise. And normalization is basically a series of white papers that were written by data experts and mathematicians that will help you eliminate errors and problems. So these are the kinds of anomalies they're looking at. Update anomaly, that's basically where you have to change the same data in multiple places. Everything should be entered in one place, right? So we want to design it in such a way that you don't have to change things in different places. Insertion anomaly is basically where you can't insert some data into the database because other data is required. And so you get blocked and you can't enter that other data sometimes because it requires, if you get into a loop, it won't allow you to put new information in until you have other information, but that other information is either unavailable or requires further information. So those kinds of dependencies you don't want. All your data should be discrete and independent of other data. And then there's deletion anomalies, which is you can't delete data. You can't delete a row without the potential of losing data. You don't want to lose data. Deletion at least not unintentionally. You don't want to lose data unintentionally. These, you can read about them more if you want. But they're usually the three things that they talk about. I once thought of writing a detective novel using these anomalies, but I decided against it, probably for the best. Particularly deletion anomaly might be fun. So when you get down, I'm going to go down. These are a list of all the normal forms. And the thing that you just copied is basically unnormalized, right? It has no normal. It isn't normalized. We are going to go through the first, second, and third normal forms, but we're not going to go through all the others. These are real basic, right? They give you, if you get through the third normal form, your database will probably work. These others are, each of them is a higher refinement. And you end up with things, by the time you get to sixth normal form out there, notice there's a lot more than 6 of them, but for some reason his name's 6. By the time you get out there, you end up with tables that consist of nothing but keys, basically. It gets really, you get a lot of tables, it gets very subtle, and typically you have to do a thing they call denormalization. You have to step back a little to figure out, because the more tables you divide things in, the less your performance will be with the database. So there is a point at which normalization creates a performance hit. Because in order to bring data to the web or something, you have to rejoin all these things. And joins take time in the process. So, although it's really good theoretically to know what all of these are if you're a database engineer, if you get through the first 3 normal forms, typically your database is functional or works. So that's as far as we're going to go. And I'm not going to, they're written in kind of a mathematical language. It's not pure math. It's kind of like predicate logic. You had a question?
Would a typical mid-sized company be normalized to more than third form or just up to third? Would it only be like really large companies that would go more than that?
So typically, companies don't care a whole lot about normalization as long as their data isn't. Part of what the normalization process does is it ensures data integrity, that the data is consistent, that it will always be consistent. I would say database engineers would probably go for like a fourth normal form. But again, they might. It gets really dicey when you're doing this for production. It depends on what you're doing. We're going to divide things up with the student table into probably 15 or 20 tables. You've got one right now, right? One entity. When you're doing something like Amazon, they rejoin all their stuff into a product table, which is separate from the relational, the database that has been normalized. They keep the business parts normalized, but they create a query table that's pre-joined. And they do that for speed, right? Because you're not going to be happy if you go to Amazon and it takes 5 to 10 to 15 minutes for your query to come across. You know, you want pretty much instantaneous response. The danger of that, and we haven't talked, is that when you order something on Amazon, there's a possibility that it doesn't exist anymore, that they've sold it out. That possibility is less damaging to Amazon than the delay would be, right? And it doesn't happen that often. It's just that the table you're querying isn't live, right? They update it. I have no idea how often that did it. They probably refresh it every few minutes, but it's not actually live because of speed concerns and performance concerns.
Could it actually be live?
What?
Could it actually be live?
If it was, it would be slower. So that's the thing. It would be slow, and they want it. As I said, it's more damaging for Amazon to have you wait for a response than it is to occasionally have to apologize.
So when we say slower,
So,
hardware issue or?
it's actually neither. Well, it's a little bit of hardware. So we're going to divide things up. What normalization results in is dividing things up into many, many tables. Remember how some of the tables we looked at don't just have numbers? We're going to end up with some of this. When you put it on the web, you have to take all those different tables and rejoin them. That's what we call the join in SQL. In a view that humans understand, right? That joining takes processing time and memory. And that's what's normalization. The more tables, the more time. Right? So, but if you put it all in one for any pieces, we're only going to mention that you can index it, you can speed up the searches and things if the table's already pre-trained. There are lots of things you can do to optimize performance when you do that. But you are sacrificing data integrity and the aliveness of the join. You had a question?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna actually.
Okay. Yes, okay. All right. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. We're not going to worry. One of the things you should do when you're building a database is you shouldn't worry about the optimization at first. You should design it as well as you can. And don't worry about optimization until you actually start testing it. Right? And the thing is that optimization, like with Vince or something like that, you could normalize it out to the nth degree and it wouldn't affect performance because it's not big enough. It's a combination of how big the database is. Like if you're doing tables that have millions of records each, then it gets slower. Right?
So is normalization something we do while we're writing this diagram, or
yes.
we write the diagram and then we have?
Well, so normalization, it's a little bit of both. So while you're creating the diagram, you should go through and but then at the end you should do a check. Right. So go through and say, is it normalized to the first normal form? Is it normalized to the second? Is it normalized to the third?
If we did database track, is that something that the other normalized forms, is that something we'd be going into?
I don't go into them that much. I do sometimes talk about little pieces of them that, like when we come with these precedences where it would make a difference. If you were doing data science, yes, you would go through all of them in detail.
Would you say that it's, I mean, like to get some kind of entry-level junior database job, is it necessary to know past the third normal form?
It might be good to know them conceptually, but actually in function, in practice, most businesses don't normalize very far out because of requirements and because of time, right? They're really more concerned with just getting things to go. The other thing is that, particularly for web backends and content management things, the normalizations of that relevant. And there are some databases out there that are pretty non-normalized just in general, again, because what their function is so utilitarian. Like a lot of databases are just tracking logs, things that happen, on a website or something.
So if you want like a job, knowing the third normal form is probably sufficient.
It's probably sufficient. It depends on what you're doing, as I said. Some places, typically they might ask you about some of these other normal forms in an interview, and then you remember to use them again. You know what I mean? It's kind of like programming interviews. They're probably going to ask you about creating linked lists and data structures. Even though those things are already embedded in higher level objects and you probably never actually create a data structure, linked list from scratch in practice. But
is it going to phase out in the future?
The relational databases or the normalization?
In terms of normalization, why?
I don't think so, because ultimately what these are about is making sure your data is consistent and has integrity, meaning that it's consistent across tables, it's consistent across queries, that there aren't any problems or confusions with the data. You know, they serve a function, they're not just thing. It's just that when you get into the very normal form, your data is mostly consistent. And these are also the special cases. Where it can mess with your data consistency or your queries, but you usually don't have to, they just don't happen as often. Does that make sense? These are really refined, and some of them get into really specific instances that might never occur to you, or may never occur. They are, actually that's kind of nice, I hadn't seen that. Where did it do that? It did it. It gives it a quick definition. Now these papers are written, as I said, in quasi-mathematical, but they're not that complicated. In fact, the first normal form, 3 normal forms, can really be summed up in very simple sentences. So when it talks about, it's still, we're going to make it simpler, this, a relation in the first normal form only if the domain of each attribute contains only the atomic values. Does that mean anything to anybody? I'm going to put it in different words. I'm just wondering.
Is the same?
Well, so it means they're the same and they're isolated. Atom means is supposedly the smallest particle. Physics is going to be on that, but that's all right. That's actually what it means, the smallest particle. Everything should be reduced to a single value, single thing. The real essence of this, and this is why I brought up the notepad. First normal form means that everything in a column must be of the same type, right? That means you don't mix like phone numbers and emails in the same column, right? Yeah, you don't mix like people's names and department names in the same column, things like that.
Would that be like the same as data type times a string number?
So it refers to data type, but also logical. For instance, like a department name and a human, person's name. You could argue that they're both strings, but so they don't violate any data type, but they're different conceptually. Does that make sense? So I'm going to.
You have 2 strings in the same table.
You can have 2 strings in the same table. This is like in the column. Yeah. What do you mean by 2? You can have more than 1 string. Like if it's an address, it can be 2 or 3 words. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Fine.
I'm not sure I understand you. That doesn't mean it's a wrong question, just explain it. Okay. The other thing is that what they mean by atomicity or being, there should be no lists and no arrays. Lists of things like you shouldn't be saying things like class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, right? Or you can't have by an array. What it means is if you just in the text you have like a string text and you just separate things by commas. You don't want those.
And this is still rules for the first column.
This is rules for each column, right? Most of this refers to like columns in a table.
I mean, is rules for the first normalization.
This is first normalization, yeah. Not this, but first. So they call them normal forms. So you need to make sure that all of the things in a column are the same type, that there's no lists and no arrays. And what do you do with them if there are lists or arrays? And this is generally you break it into a new entity. Okay, and almost always the solution is to break things into a new entity. So let's look, does that make sense somewhat? So it's very simple, you just, and really, spreadsheets often have these kinds of arrays and commas, delimited fields, and etc. So let's go back to our Visio. And I think I might leave this as is, and we'll do it like a, would it be too weird to keep moving between two sheets here? Okay. So I'm going to add a sheet. There's a little plus down below. And then I need to zoom it a little. But let's go back to the first one. There's page 1. What in here is potentially plural? That means like a list or an array.
Majors.
So we've got majors, right? So I'm actually going to copy this. As I said, I just want to keep it into, so we'll put it here. So majors is a thing. So I'm going to pull one over. We'll add details to this later, but I'm going to do major. And I just, for now, I'm going to give them an ID. We won't worry about that. Okay, so, and then I'm going to eliminate it from here, right? Because we've got majors and rows now. What else could be plural? What? Which one did you say? Department? Possibly. Let's pull it out.
Advisor.
Years enrolled might be, so let's do department. I didn't hear the other one.
Advisor.
Advisor. Would they have more than one?
Yeah.
Let's hold it for a second because I want to use it as an example for the next one. Let's say they only have one advisor. We won't do that. So we did take out the department. Courses and grades, right? So a couple of things that are problematic with this, right? If you think of it for normal form. One is plural. 2, it has 2 different kinds of things. Yeah. So let's do a course. And again, I'll do the IDs for these. We'll add some fields later. We'll do course ID. And I'm going to do, I will put the grade here, although we might actually move that around later. Okay, so we've got, so first normal form has made us at least break open. Right, we'll do relationships. Years enrolled, that was the other thing I wanted to break out. Not sure how I want to name this. Let's call it enrollment. And we might, some of these we might do it away. Or they might become others. Enrollment, ID, year. We might actually put a quarter there too. Okay. So is there anything else that is, so years enrolled can go away? Anything else that's plural? Right now, we'll just worry about that. Can you see? So possibly, where I'm going, the reason I'm moving my advisor, it's possible you can get multiple advisors, and then we just break it out here. But I wanted to leave it because I wanted to talk about the second normal form, with basically that you need to get rid of the dependencies. All of these things are about the advisor, not about the student, right? So second normal form means you need to get rid of what they call structural dependencies. So if we go here, why is it going to get rid of them? There we go. That doesn't tell me anything. Anyway, you want to get rid of structural dependencies. And the way that you recognize a structural dependency is that you have a group of attributes that relate to each other and not to the topic. Okay, so basically it's like a subgroup inside of it. So we need to pull out advisor. And so we would do like make an advisor one, and we need to, I'm going to give it an advisor ID. And I'm going to just drag down like advisor name, advisor room, advisor phone, advisor email, probably office would be a better word than room. And then I'll get rid of these two. Okay. Now I'm not sure I have a good example. So you probably put like your department name. I'm not going to fill all these out to full. Not sure I have a good example of the third normal form. Well, actually, grade to do. So you would want things like course name.
Yeah, I was wondering about.
Yeah, course name, course ID. We'll assume it's a course number. You might have something like the credits. So I'm going to put, when we think of final grade, so one of the things,
Is there a course name number?
well, so a couple of things, like if we did a section number or something, I think we would get into an issue here with what's going on here. So let's do section number. And we could do an attribute for, we could add it like a row. There's actually a couple of different things that are problematic. You need to think of what they might be. A lot of it depends on how you think about it. Just a lot of it depends on that. Third normal form is actually the same as second normal form, except that it's more subtle. There's something, a field that depends on another as opposed to a whole group of fields that depends on it.
Could you have more than one room number?
Possibly, although if it would be just one, you could have more than one room number, that's right, if it moves like a lab. You know, like if you have so room numbers could be an issue. I'm trying to think of what, so room numbers might be plural. Which we have to advisor room here. Room number. I mean, you might want to. I'd probably leave them, but we might move that. You might have like a building in rows. What I was thinking of, when you think about the course is one thing, right? ITC 220. That is a course, right? And it's offered a lot of different quarters. You don't necessarily want to have to retype this stuff over and over again. So if you wanted to enter it only one place, you probably have a course. And the course has a name and it has credits, right? What else is going on in here besides the course?
The grade.
The grade is one of the other things that's going on, and then the section, right? So a section, so I'm going to do a section ID. I'm going to say section number. The section is actually an instance of a course. Like it will have a room or rooms. We might still want to do that. And it would have as a foreign key course ID, right? So I would argue that that's almost more of a, that's probably more second. Because you have a big thing there.
So you saw the section as a dependency on course?
Well, yeah, I see courses being like ITC 222, 5 credits, description maybe by database, whatever, so the course name. Section is an instance of the thing, and it would also have, so just to get it more specific, it would have things like quarter, and year, right? So this is a section of ITC 220, so this is a section of that course.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's what you meant by the second form.
Yeah, second normal form, because it's sort of a group of things that are related to the section.
You have to get rid of it.
Yeah, so I'm getting rid of we still have the grade thing, which most of you pointed out, and it doesn't really apply to the course, and it really wouldn't apply to the section directly, right? It's dependent on something else. For one thing, if we were to rename it, so I'm going to move it over here, but we'll move it again. If we did student final grade,
It would be okay in section.
well, I don't think it will be yet. And this is where it is in the third normal form. It's dependent on something other than the section. It's dependent on the student, right? On the identity of the student. So it's a more subtle dependency. It's depending on something that is not a part of this. Not a part of this entity. So you need something like something that puts the student grades there. And I'm just going to do something like roster. What you name it, sort of up to you. And I'll do.
Section is like a class that I would do.
Right, but it's still what within the section, though, there are going to be like 20, 30 students, right? And they'll each have their own grade.
And the first rule is you don't mix all games and other things together. Right?
Yeah, so we would want like a student ID here. And we would want like the section ID. And then you would want, you could put the student final grade there. So for each student in that section, you could give them a final grade for that. I think we're pretty well got it broken out, but yeah.
For student ID under roster and section ID, would you put foreign keys?
Yes, you would. Now, I haven't marked foreign keys. I haven't put all the keys in here. Let's go through and do the relationships. So this would be a foreign key. This would be a foreign key. This would be a foreign key. Now, year and quarter, we've got enrollment. We could have actually, instead of roster, we could have done it in enrollment. So I'm going to actually delete enrollment because we did it the same things in it with roster. You could have done it in the enrollment thing we already had there. So we have the major. Let's do like major name. One of the things that a major probably has is it probably belongs to a department. Does that make sense? Well, yeah, so the department, so the course would belong to a department too. So I'm going to set foreign key. So under the course, we might want to put just a department ID as well. Because a course would belong to a department. Would an advisor belong to a department? Yeah. So that's what the course is ITC 220. But the section is this instance of ITC 220 that's at this time and at this place. In fact, it's something that would be in section 2 is probably time, start time. Now, a lot of what these mean, start time. A lot of what these mean depends on how you define things. Like if you define course as being, you could define course as a section, but I don't know what name you would use for the actual thing. So an advisor possibly belongs to a department. It depends on your rules. It actually depends on the schools. You can set that up. Like here, the departments across, the advisors across departments. They do several of them sometimes. And we'll say that every department, every advisor has a department. No. For relationships, you wouldn't use the name. You only use the key. You don't want to repeat anything if you can avoid it. You should only, you should only have to enter the department name and make the department whatever you want on so let's.
So like put it in the department and then build on it because they're all connected.
They're connected, right? And it doesn't have to fill it off, but you can use the information by the relationship.
That's why you're saying.
Right. Right. Everything should be, everything should be about one thing. So I'm going to do, so there are things that we could refine even more, but let's stop. Not department. Let's say department. I'm saying room, but office might be a better word. So let's go back to the thing. I'll talk about that. These are the first normal form. Second normal form of the at and the string capitalization. And since I did that, I should spell this out probably. Basically means of subsets, or another way to look at that is groups of attributes that depend on each other. Rather than they usually say rather than the key, but rather than the topic of the entity, right? key after this, because that's when they talk about it, they usually say they relate to each other, not to the key. So, just as the example, the group of advisor attributes that don't relate to the student topic directly to student. And these are called structural dependencies. Not that you need necessarily to know that. So a structural dependency is like a subset. If you have a subset inside of your set, relational database structure is based a lot on set theory. You have a subset inside of a set, you need to remove it out. Does that make sense?
So if I'm reading correctly, it says each other rather than or than.
Where are we? Where subset already has subset. Yeah. Groups of attributes that depend on each other rather than. Yeah, I left that out. Good eye. It's hard to talk and type sometimes. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, I'm trying to put it in as normal English as possible. They usually don't put it as normal English in the normalization description. You will see it as structural dependencies. And the other one is, their normal form is what they call transitive dependencies. So that's to remove what they call transitive dependencies. And the key to this is, it's not like a whole subset of things. It's like one attribute as opposed to a group of attributes that that relate to something other than the topic of it. Than the topic of the entity or the key of the entity. Now, the gist of this is that every column would have, its own values, all of the same type. So, an entity should only be about one thing. Anything that relates to something other than the topic of the entity should be broken out into a new entity. I'm also going to say no arrays or lists. Sure. And I'm going to post it too.
Not everyone can log into whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's fine. I will post on the blog. Everything I write today, I will post. I'm having trouble holding it up, but is that better? So I'm just saying, if you don't capture it all, that's fine. I will post it. Is there a limit to the number that can hang in a phone log in? Huh. Anyone but you? It said it was full. I might go look and see if that's something I can set. Okay, I didn't know that, but I didn't know. You should have yelled at me earlier for that.
Mine says someone blocked me, so I can log in and then she can log her in.
Huh,
And it says it's full, and it says it's full.
that's interesting.
So I guess you can block someone and you can see it at all.
I haven't blocked anybody. These are just so, this is just sort of the gist of it, which is really what, so any plural value should be broken into room. So this is really the gist of it all, is just you want to make sure all your columns have a single type of value, and that's logical as well as data type. Right, so if it's an email column, it should only be.
I was just trying, for my own clarification, trying to grammar logic. And here it would just mean that something, an attribute in a column doesn't have a direct relationship to another entity.
It doesn't have a direct relationship to the entity that you're in, right?
Right, but if it has a relationship to it, the external entity, you need it.
Yeah, unless it's a foreign key. Does that make sense? But even a foreign key should relate to the topic at hand.
Yeah. So
Right.
even the same things that are in between the entities.
Right, yeah. They use their form, their vocabulary comes from that. They're using. So, and it can get more, I'm trying to avoid the jargon actually that they have, but they do talk about transitive and then they talk about structural. And the structural is basically a subset or a group of things that relate to each other but not to the topic. Like advisor is relevant to the topic, right? Students have advisors. And so the advisor ID is relevant because you want to know what advisor that student has. But all the stuff that describes the advisor isn't relevant to the student. It's describing the advisor, so the advisor should be broken out. Now, the great thing there, when we did it in this section, there's a couple of problems with it. One, it's plural, right, because you have multiple students. It also doesn't really describe, the section. Okay, it's describing something else. So, everything, it should only be about one thing. There shouldn't be any subtopics. It should only be about one thing, and everything in that entity should relate to that one thing. That's the gist of this normalization. Does that make sense? It's not that hard when you think about it, and it does add complexity. So, when we do, so let's do, would a student have more than one major? Let's kind of bring the relationships together. And I don't expect you to have this down perfectly. I don't expect it all to make perfect sense today. It's going to take a while. It's going to take it more than even the 2 iterations that we're going to do. What about, would a major have, does a student have one or more majors? Okay, so if they can have more than one major, what do you have? What kind of relationship do you have between student and major? Yeah, if they can have 2 majors, then it's a many to many, right? Because one major can have many students and one student can have many majors. And how do you resolve that? Yeah.
Composite,
or a linking table anyway, right? So I'm going to say student major. And what I'll do is I will, so you can do the composite key you're talking about, which I usually do, but you don't have to. I'm going to do student ID. I'm going to move this up and I'm going to do it as major ID. Yeah, so I'm going to make this a primary key also. So it's not 2 primary keys. It's one primary key that has 2 fields. They're both also foreign keys. because they relate to other things. It's two separate foreign keys, but it's one primary key. That isn't always obvious when you do this. And I'm going to try to do the relationship. I'm going to make I'm going into the format shape to give it a bigger line ending. I do jumbo for this. It might be too big for you, actually, but so student would actually be the one side. When the line turns green around the hole, it means you've connected it, right? And I'm going to copy this, and I'll paste it up here. And yeah, this will be the one, and this will be. Come on, move. Let me move you.
This is where I lost.
Okay, so, oh, actually not there. Brain is gone. So it would be one, but it would actually come down to here. No. Give me the whole thing. No, I want major. Let me just paste it. I want major as the one, and student major as the main. And it didn't hook because I hate yeah, there it did, but it's ugly. All right, we won't worry about ugly right now. I might try to fix it in a minute. Okay.
Is there a certain, I don't know, is there a certain place that it can set up nature that it connects to student nature?
So it just needs to connect.
Okay.
So when I move it like that, and you're connecting to the entity, not to the field. Right, so you just have to kind of keep track that student ID relates to student ID and major ID relates to. So we're telling how the table relates. Major ID relates to major ID after. Student ID relates to student ID right. And what we're doing this to resolve it because databases again can't handle many relationships. This is many to many. You have one student can have many majors, and one major can have many students. So the way you do that is this student, so student one has major one. Student one also has major two. Right, so the combination of these are the unique. And basically what you're doing is you're just resolving the relationship. That's the purpose of a linking table. That's all it's there for, is to resolve a relationship in the database couldn't handle otherwise. Does that make sense? Is that better? So say you had, you'll just sort of many, because this is kind of an important.
Beginning is 120, and ending is 1.
So let's do a major. And what we'll do is we'll just do like ID and we'll worry about we'll say 1 equals English, 2 equals whatever database, 3 equals 4, whatever. Right, so we're just numbering, these are the key fields. So over here, I have a student. So we'll just do student, and we'll kind of do the same thing. 1, Joe, 2, 3, Mary, 4, Bill. All right, so a student can have more than one. So this is going to be a student major. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a student ID. And then we're gonna have a major. So, let's say, Joe, the student wanted majoring in math. Okay. Sue is majoring in database math, so 2, 3. And Bill, you're also gonna, Mary is majoring in, who do we want? Just math. And Bill is just majoring in database. Does that make sense? So what this is doing is it's resolving. So that would nobody majoring in English. So it's not about that. Nobody's majoring in English. But if we go to 2, you know, it's relating to these. And then the student, like Sue has 2 majors. So she's on my mind. Yeah. And you need to do that for the computer, because the computer can't resolve the many-to-many relationship. It gets confused, right? Yeah.
So he's raising a very good point. He's saying a student with multiple majors will most likely have a department. Possibly multiple environment.
Right, but the major is related to the department. Right, so we've already got access to the department by what major you're in.
Okay. And the advisory fees is not a necessity.
Well, so we can add that. We haven't added it yet. So I'm going to, so I'm just pasting this. So 1 department. Okay, I want to get this. So department relate, 1 department can have many majors. When we get to the advisor, so the advisor is related to the department also. So basically you would hook the mini side to advisor, because 1 department can have many advisors. Does that make sense? This is a mess. I'm going to try to fix it in a minute. Yeah, when you have a course, and a course, I submitted okay on that one, but a course relates to the department.
I don't want no more.
And again, so one department can have many courses.
Okay.
Did it look, or did it? There we go. One course can have many sections. So again, one course. God, I hate. This is why I really don't like. Can have many sections. And for this one section can have many students, basically. So I am going to, no, let's don't do that. Let's paste it. I'll make this smaller in a minute. So this is the section. One section can have many students, basically. Come on. No, that's backwards. Not good either. What? Lucid charts is much easier. I prefer lucid charts, yes. So student, which is way up here, also has a relationship to roster. I'm going to try something here in a moment. So 1 student could be a part of many different sections or courses, right? Come on, way down here. Where did it hook? Way there. I'm going to try something. I think there's an arrange. I don't know. Under view.
There's an arrange.
Oh, arrange all. Let's do that and see what happens. That did nothing. Oh, that's for Windows. What I mean is that's not for the arrange of, that's if you have multiple windows.
Oh, but they didn't code it in, sorry.
What?
They didn't code it in.
Yeah. So they look to see if there's an arrange. Design, layout. Okay, this one looks like this looks possible. Though, how are we doing this? Yeah, that's not good. So let's try another one. Hierarchy. That's not good at all. That's not good. That's still not good. Lucid Charts does this far better.
Yeah, no, I've been using Lucid Charts, and yeah, no, it has an auto make it into a hierarchy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucid Charts does sometimes that. If you get it, or you just read it, you can do things yourself.
Actually, I did the
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever makes it readable.
And then entity is right here. It's just your relationships.
Yeah, I tried circular and it didn't seem to. And my connections are breaking. So, in general, I'm going to do real quickly. That's not what I want to do. I'm going to go into presentation mode, which is still a mess. And I can move things around a little bit better than that. But from that one entity, this is the thing. We got all of these entities, right? We got a student, we got a major, we got a department, we got a course, we got a student major. So as a result of that, we got an advisor, we got a section, we got roster. Going through the process, basically we broke 1 into 8 entities. Let's see if I can move it. It should be a third. I mean, we went through and we did sort of all the. I'm going to zoom way down.
I mean, if you're talking about this is a better form, and that's normal in the industry.
Yeah. Well, it can get worse. I mean, this is really pretty simple thing. As I said, part of what I would encourage, this is a puzzle. It's a fairly complicated puzzle. If you enjoy puzzles, this can be fun. If you hate puzzles, this can be a nightmare. But this is something that takes some thought, it takes working through, it takes a couple of iterations. It's not something you're likely to do first time through. And this is why the design process is really important with the data. Once you've got this down, then once the design is decided, you can create the database and be fairly sure that it'll work. I'm just going to try to move things around a little bit just to get a little bit better lines.
Yeah, go ahead. So if you add a new document, go to
so student manager, here, student here. It's a little better. a lot of things related to departments that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I go to
What
this
is that
already.
related to major?
Right here.
And you just drag
Oh,
them on,
yeah.
and then add it right there.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Advisor could probably go like in there. Why is that backward, upside down? I really hate. There are things about Visio I truly hate.
What email did you use to sign up? Did you send it with your student email?
Oh.
It's free. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No. Well, I mean, you don't have to redrag it. You could, if you right click on it, you can set beginning and end symbols, so you can just change the symbols. Why won't that? This one's meant for. All right, so.
He doesn't care what you
I don't want it upside down like that.
That seems more, a little bit more dangerous.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Seems like an old version.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Lucid Chart is infinitely better for these kinds of diagrams. I actually like what Lucid does in some of the other diagram modes, but this database mode is just a pain in the butt. All right, that's a little bit better, it's still not good. But these things are not it's not quite a spider web. Does that make sense overall? Yeah. The thing is, you're going to get to practice it, and then we'll go through and we'll talk through when you're actually done it, and then we will do it again, and you'll get to go through it again. You know, so it's something that it takes a long time to get the hang of, but you'll have a couple of good tries at it, right? One of the complaints about developers for relational database things is how complicated this is, right? The developers want to write, they just want to store their data somewhere. They don't necessarily want to, you know, do this. But if you don't do this, you have all sorts of problems later. Now, one of the very last thing we're going to do is, not today, but towards the quarter, is a NoSQL database. NoSQL databases don't have to structure. Consequently, they're a lot easier to develop and a lot easier to develop for as a programmer. However, they don't guarantee the data integrity, right, that these do. If you need to be absolutely sure that your data is accurate on every query, you need to go through these normalizations. Are we?
This is the message.
Oh, is this the president?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. Yeah, that's a little scary. Because why I was
Yeah.
What did he say? I don't want to take it. Yeah, we told him we're going to happen.
Yeah,
Trump
it's like a
consensus on that.
forewarning.
So supposedly the only time it would be used is if
When everybody's home.
they attack.
Yeah, when he's ready to like.
Yeah, it's
ready to let us know.
Yeah. Well, you always do. And there is no option out of that. There's no one out there. All right, so I'm going to say this. Let's get to the assignment part. And what I'm going to give you today to get set up in groups, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I will probably also give you Monday to work on this in class, so that you'll have like a whole class where I can come around and help you and you can work together. You'll have some time today, but today I expect you mostly just to get set up and maybe figure out who you're working with and etc. So as I said, I will post all of this stuff that we did, but I'm gonna go back to Canvas. And I'm going to go to the, actually, so I should probably change to student mode. I'm not entirely sure how it looks on yours. So there are different groups. And the first group we're going to be using is the Vincent's final group. So I think you can just join. Maybe you should go to student. Because I allowed you to join, to make your own groups. So you can just join. What I will do, let me go to student. I'm going to go to study. And I'm going to do student view so we can look at it a little bit about the way you guys would. Now, is it under people? I don't know either. Yeah, so there's groups.
People.
And it shows you the different, so we don't want the show tracker groups, so you have to go down to the Vincent's, right? It just shows all the groups there. Show tracker will be the last one we do. Python will be the second one we do. And they're in alphabetical order, so Vincent's is down here. I don't care which group you want to join. There's 10 groups, I think. Ideally, a group shouldn't have more than 4 people, though I have allowed 5 occasionally, and I think I put, I'm not sure what I put as a limit. But if you go into a group, I'm going to go to 10. You should be able to join. All the way down. Oh, so the bottom here where I can't see it.
Right there on the right.
Over. Oh, where I have the lock, you have the join. Okay. So I can't join the group. So, but to join the group. Now, the easiest way to do this, but you don't have to, is just to break it up into groups of 3 to 4 as you go through. If you don't, and what I will do is that anyone that isn't in a group by Monday will be added to our group. I would prefer, now, if you need to do it individually, let me know why. Like, if you can't be, I'm going to give in-class time for doing the group stuff. So it shouldn't be a big burden, and I do think that this stuff works much better as a group. Because you want to compare notes, you want to talk about it, you want to brainstorm it. It's a lot easier to do with your. I am going to have you turn in things separately. Right? So there's 2 ways to do groups in Canvas. Not that you probably care. One is that every group turns in one product and everybody gets the same grade. I am going to let you do individually, turn it in individually and grade it individually rather than give it as a whole group grade. This way, if somebody disappears and doesn't do the work, you don't have to give them the credit. Also, if you have, like the movie, a minority opinion, that you think it should go a different way than the group does, you can submit your own version of it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the bad part about it is if I did it as a whole group grade, only one person would have to turn it in, right? And then everybody would get the score for that. But because I did it as individual group project with individual grade, everybody will have to turn in. Now, you only have to do one, and then you can do a copy, or everybody on that one person could just submit it under their own name on that machine. You know what I mean? You could just, somebody log into Canvas, submit it, next person log into Canvas and submit it. You don't have to make however many copies of it if you don't want to. Also, the assignment. So I want you to join a group. I do want you to join a group. And as I said, I expect a little bit of chaos for that. And the easiest way is just to go with proximity, but you can move around if you want.
So what number?
Whatever number. Okay. So I guess if we want to do, should we start with the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever.
Whole class like group one.
And then let me look at the assignments. So this group is not necessarily for the whole group. This group is for the Vincent's exercise. So it'll take you through designing Vincent's vinyl database, and then through actually creating it, and then adding some sample data and doing some SQL to test it. When we're done with that, we will go to the MySQL and do the whole process again. All right. And you can stay with your group, you can change groups at that time, because that's a different group assignment. Same with the NoSQL, keep your same group so you can go to it. But each one is a separate group assignment. Does that make sense? All right. So where this says SQL Server ERD first draft. This is what you're going to try to do. It's basically creating an empty diagram for Vincent's Vinyl, right? We talked about that. We did a little bit of the brainstorming on Vincent's Vinyl, what the rules would be, and I did post those. So, you know, and so what the fields would be and what some of the information are. So you're kind of on your way to it. And I'd like to do it in a group because you will turn in your own copy. And the ERD again is entity relation diagram. You can do it. You can do it in Visio or do it in you know, in Lucidcharts. If you have another program, you can do that. I've had people draw them in Word. Boy, that's a lot of work. You know, so whatever works for your group in terms of drawing it. Now this first one, despite the rubric, I'm basically going to, and we're not going to do a presentation. I did sometimes make people present them, but I will just give you those 4 points. In fact, in general, I'll just give you the 4 points. The points for this one, because if you do a semi-decent attempt, what I'll do is with each group, I will meet probably Wednesday next week, or if you guys are really fast, maybe on Monday, but I doubt it's going to take a while. I will meet with each group and go over what you've done and make suggestions for the change, right? So if you look at the assignments, after the first one, there is a revise, right? And theoretically, in all of the points, because I've told you what to fix and it'll be fixed and it'll be good. And if I do ever take any points off, you can always redo it. So I will go over with each group, you can revise it. Typically, this is, you should do this anyway, anytime you're out designing a database. You should design it, and then you should review it, and then fix it, right? It's rare that they'll be perfect the first time. So, does that make sense? And then we'll actually create the database. The other thing that we'll probably do Monday is there is a virtual machine on here, and we'll copy it on Monday. It's a good idea to, it's in the public folders, and it'd be a good idea to copy it to your own profile so that nobody else can mess with it. And also so that if it totally screws up, you have a copy to go back to. That's going to take a while, and I think we'll do that on Monday while you're working on the other thing, because it can happen in the background. All right, so if we create the database, we actually have to install it, so we'll go through the install process too. You guys ready? So today, what I would really like is for you to be in a group, get to know each other, and start to talk. I will give you Monday, the whole Monday class if need be, to work on that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Seven. When I just joined. When I just joined.
Oh no, you don't have to select the day. You have to join all those days.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I might do that, because that's what another class did. And I put it up on Canvas, and when I copied Canvas over, I forgot to copy those files. So I suppose I should do everyone download one.
There's 4 students in there.
I think our kinders.
Yeah, you can see.
And then
Oh, so you don't
Well,
know?
we'll be
There is, yes.
Oh, yeah, I have it. I have it on.
Yeah, it's curled by default.
We can join for free.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucid.
Zero means zero. Yeah, line.
2 and 3 and
Zero. So it reminds me of the
So weird.
well, there's a relationship there. You're talking about robots.
Oh, you're in show tracker.
So if you did like, like a department by, you might be saying that,
Like,
department can happen by.
how the project is actually.
I would just.
Alright.
So it had to modify that.
Then you can put up on the
It was gonna be one more. Some part
well, so it should be on. It depends on which English.
zero.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about it. It's called target.
I think well, no,
In the diagram, you can kind of
that's
yeah,
It's the same.
So they should have a registry. And it may take. They'll send an email to your.
I have.
You don't have
Especially.
So I'm logged in.
After the. Oh, you know,
Yes,
I don't know.
I've never logged into this, so.
Oh yeah, so now it's gonna be here's 290.
My dad just wanted but my dad said, you don't have to apply for
Yes, it's crazy. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I I really
Last year, when I got office.
Home, you're gonna use your
The advantage is the church too.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. And then also you can import here, so if you end up doing more items,
You get imported.
that's what I did with the
Start free account?
Oh,
So that's the way you can get
yeah, so or I would even you could even search
Right. You do the entity. You have all the entities so you know you have like and when I say all, when I go over it with you,
all the stuff that we talked about.
on this one, I could
Oh, the blog and so this and that's a link.
I'm done for the week. After I have one more class at 1 o'clock. I'm done for the week.
Yeah, so you want to make like plus. Yeah, so it begins. Gross, right.
Yeah, so we're gonna
It's also.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I
When you share it. You can post.
Yeah, I realized I was
Share.
Yeah, I see here you can put it like.
So we just want to start from the beginning.
Or you
Did you join the race?
Yeah.
I just did join.
There's the one who's there on the top. See, that's for sure. Oh, you play, so I that's you. Because that's
My video's still running.
Oh, shit, talking.